tariffs, is there any room left for Canada and Mexico to make a deal before midnight? And should we expect those Chinese tariffs, the extra 10%, to take effect tomorrow?
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
The Donald Trump tariffs are here, and I can tell you the market doesn't like it, and neither does Warren Buffett, as he's calling it out today. That's the subject of today's video, and let's go through the headlines, and I'll explain what's going on. Trump says 25% Canada-Mexico tariffs to take effect on Tuesday, and the market responded by Dow tumbles more than 600 points. S&P 500 posts biggest loss since December. You also got this. President Trump signs executive order to add additional 10% tariff on China. Wall Street Journal says S&P 500 and the NASDAQ fall. Dollar weakens. Trump tariff looms. Now, regarding Warren Buffett, he was saying act of war. He was also saying Warren Buffett calls Trump tariff a tax on goods. Says, quote, the tooth fairy doesn't pay him. I want to read the quote from Warren Buffett. In fact, this is not the first time Warren Buffett has called out Trump. Now, generally speaking, he'll stay out of politics, not talk about this stuff too much. But recently, Buffett has been commenting on Trump and Musk. I read through a letter that he did just a few weeks ago. I think it was, 9 days ago. And I'm basically referring to Trump and Musk as being scoundrels. Let's take a look at what Buffett says this time regarding Trump tariffs. It says, from Warren Buffett, tariffs are actually, we've had a lot of experience with them. They're an act of war to some degree. Again, that's Warren Buffett on Trump. Quote, over time, they are a tax on goods. I mean, the tooth fairy doesn't pay them. And then what? You always have to ask that question in economics. You always say, and then what? The basic idea of what Buffett's referring to is often when Trump tries to sell his tariffs to the American people and his MAGA fans, he acts like, that's Trump, he acts like it's a tax on China and foreign countries, etc. But in reality, it's a tax on you, the regular Americans. You're the ones who are going to be paying it. And in fact, it's going to affect MAGA adversely, right? It's going to be negative on you. It's going to hurt you, even more so than his billionaire buddies. So, for example, and this is sort of why Buffett will say, well, the tooth fairy doesn't pay him. The basic gist of it is, let's say tariffs going to end up costing you an extra $3,000 a year, something like that, right? So, just more money coming out of your pocket. $3,000 a year is quite a lot of money if you only make, say, $25,000 a year. But if you're a billionaire, $3,000 extra a year in taxes is not a big deal. So I hope you understand, like, this really simple, equation, a simple math. It costs you a larger percentage of your income as regular Americans than it does billionaires. And so this is why, Warren Buffett say, hey, the tooth fairy doesn't pay it. Basically, you pay it. On top of that, today, Trump was also questioned, like, why are you so close to Russia? Have a listen to this.
Question from Russia saying that your foreign policy is largely in line with their vision. Should that be concerning to Americans?
Said what?
Should that be concerning to Americans?
Read the statement.
That Russia says that your administration's foreign policy is, quote, largely in line with their vision.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it takes two to tango, and you're going to have to make a deal with Russia, and you're going to have to make a deal with Ukraine. You're going to have the assent, and you're going to have the consent from the European nations, because I think that's important, and from us. I think everybody has to get into a room, so to speak, and we have to make a deal. And the deal can be made very fast. It should not be that hard a deal to make. It could be made very fast. Now, maybe somebody doesn't want to make a deal. And if somebody doesn't want to make a deal, I think that person won't be around very long. That person will not be listened to very long. Because I believe that Russia wants to make a deal. I believe certainly the people of Ukraine want to make a deal. They've suffered more than.
And so that's the question I'll pose to you, same with the reporter. Should you Americans be concerned that essentially Trump is aligned with Russia? I think it's deeply concerning. And in fact, I feel really shameful, to be perfectly frank, on Trump and Trump's people. Not only are they ruining the economy, the markets, we're aligning with powers that we shouldn't be. And that's just my opinion on that. The market is generally in agreement with myself. You can see here, Trump tariffs near deadline with White House debate heating up. It was interesting. There were so many articles coming out of Wall Street that they were hoping that Trump wouldn't go forward with the tariff stuff. There's not a lot of winners with this. It looked like we're all going to lose. On top of that, right, you have this U.S. manufacturing activity near stagnation while prices jump. If I had to guess at this point with the Trump and Musk situation, everything they want to do, be it fire as many people as they possibly can, they want to replace you all with robots. That's their plan. They want to effectively raise taxes, the tariff situation on you, take your money and put it into their pet projects. I don't think this is going to end well, and I'm thinking stagflation. So there's already a growth scare in the markets. You'll see it in the bond market, and so people, if you understand how the economy works, are feeling uneasy about the future. We've already seen it among people who are already struggling. They're struggling even worse now with Trump's tariffs. And when the market takes a hit, which we just saw today, people are saying that the wealthiest 10% will start to feel it, and that's when you'll really get a downturn. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So these are just some examples of wealth in America. So you have the top 10% of earners earn about 1.3 trillion. And then you got the other 90% earn 291 billion. So this gives you the difference in incomes that we're talking about here. When you talk about assets, the top 10% in the USA own 87% of stocks, 84% of private business, right? And they have about 67% of total wealth and then 43% of real estate. So again, this is the top 10% in USA own most of the wealth. And so essentially when the markets take a hit, and the people who own most of the wealth start to feel it in their pocketbooks, they start cutting back, right? They're just like, wow, I'm not going to be investing so much anymore. I'm not going to be trickling down as much as they promise. Trump's and Musk's point of view is like, oh, well, then we got to cut taxes even more for the rich people. That's kind of the argument. I think, frankly, it's a bad argument to make, but what it'll end up doing is driving the inequality between rich and poor even further. Basically, the rich will get richer, the poor will get poorer. That's Trump's and Musk's plan. And on top of that, if you're worried about your job, they say, screw you, we're going to replace you with robots and AI. That's literally what Musk is saying. He's like, I'm going to have these robot cars. They're going to be awesome. And we're going to have this AI and they're going to make everything so streamlined. And it's just like regular people are like, well, what about my jobs, right? Like, do you have a plan for me? And Musk is like, well, that's their plan. So I know I make jokes about this stuff, but I just want to understand like their plan is ridiculous. And that's sort of why markets don't like it. Regular people shouldn't like it. The MAGA people, I guess they celebrate when we all burn together, but I just want to tell you what the truth on this stuff is. These are the planned tariffs. It's a long list. I'm just throwing up on screen so you get a general idea. They're going to go in various time frames. So some, I guess, tomorrow, others you're going to have come April, and then maybe some at the later of the year. But this is all subject to, the whims of Trump's tweets. He tweets out the craziest crap all the time. Did I show you guys this one? I don't think I did that. Yeah. So this is what he was tweeting out today. It says, to the great farmers of the United States, get ready to start making a lot of agricultural product to be sold inside of the United States. Tariffs will go on external production on April 2nd. Have fun. That's according to Trump. So telling all of us to have fun, to the great farm America, United States, have fun. So that's Trump's point of view on these things. Again, I'm going to point this out over and over again. Trump's and Musk's plan is to have these tariffs funnel it into their sovereign wealth fund, and they're going to take that money, your money, and then build their rockets that blow up and promise you you're all going to go to Mars. Guys, it's a big cult, basically. On top of that, Trump's and Musk's plan is to invite people to come and money launder in USA. So they're calling it the Trump Gold Card. But it's basically you pay $5 million and you can come. And this would be an invitation to Saudi money, Chinese money, Russian money, etc., crypto money, all that kind of money laundering kind of things. That's how I read this. And it was interesting, thinking about this as well. Part of the idea of Trump and Musk is to just basically push you out. I mean, they don't want you to have a job, and they want to just push you out. On top of that, you got stuff like this. The currencies in Canada and Mexico are a bit wobbly. Everyone is repricing, trade right now. People are repricing currencies, trying to figure out which, countries we're going to trade with, where alignments are going to be. Canada is talking about retaliation already. So, I mean, this is what's going to happen. I mean, if Trump's going to, hey, we're going to raise tariffs on you, and Canada's like, well, screw you. We're going to raise tariffs on you. There's been talk also they may do 100% tariffs on Tesla. My opinion is please do. And we'll see. So we have to watch that. And then you get these like really bizarre stories that came out today as well, where Nvidia stock was down big. It says Nvidia's unofficial exports to China face scrutiny after arrest of silicon smugglers in Singapore. I don't know. I know I shouldn't laugh when I see this one, but it's like the first thing that came to my mind was like, Star Wars, Han Solo and the Kessel Run. He's a smuggler. But I guess the basic gist of it is that we're supposed to be cutting off chip sales to China, but what they do is they'll go through Singapore and then they're actually heading to China, but they'll just pretend that they're heading to Singapore. So that's a big deal actually. And then then you got all of the cuts that Trump and Musk are making to several programs in the USA, right? They're cutting your job, cutting your services, cutting your Medicaid, right? Trying to delete or privatize Social Security. That's their plan. And again, turn you all into robots and AI. And then you got these other bizarre headlines. This is coming out of Texas. Texas official warns against, quote, measles parties amid growing outbreak, right? So not only are Trump and Musk attacking us economically, you call it economic warfare, even as you guys saw, even Warren Buffett saying this act of war. And then we got to worry about, okay, now that we don't have, professionals and, people in services to protect us, be it CDC, or various agencies, FDA, we don't like our food. Now we have to worry about whether or not people are having measles parties, and I mean it's like, and I know measles is no joke because I mentioned this before, and people who are older said I had measles as a kid, like say in the 1950s, 1960s, and it's like no joke. I laugh about it now because it's like for me, I'm actually I'll be 50 this week. It just wasn't a thing. We all got vaccinated and just hasn't been a thing for years, but I guess that's where we're going. And it feels like sort of the Trump and Musk, they want to, just roll everything back as possible and go back to an era where, just a few people had wealth and just a few people had, businesses, and everyone else is off to fend for themselves and essentially a Squid Gamey, Hunger Games kind of world. That's where we are. So just want to let you guys know, and it's important to track these things because the more people that see the truth of this stuff, because I get it, I get it more. Trump and Musk will always say, oh, it's not us, it's those dark people over there, or it's those immigrants over there, or that's what they'll say, or they'll say, oh, it's those trans athletes, they're the ones, those 5 people that that are in women's sports or whatever. Those 5 people, they're all their fault. Like they'll come up with these like ridiculous things and they'll say, oh, and we have to be friends with Russia, so start learning Russian. I mean, that's kind of where we're going. And so it's like when you read these headlines, it's like, are we really talking about measles parties? So anyway, I just want to hear your thoughts on this one, and I'll catch you on the next video.